welcome to a new podcast from the Belt and Road Institute in Sweden. My name is Hussein Askary. Today is April the 21st. Our subject today is on the importance of the agricultural development and cooperation on the Belt and Road Initiative. As you all know, these days we have with the continuing of the crisis in Ukraine, we have actually, as a byproduct, we have a global food shortage crisis also developing as a result of that, not only because Russia and Ukraine are major producers of grains, wheat especially, but also cooking oils, but also that Russia, for example, is one of the world's largest producer of fertilizers. So this is affecting people all around the world, especially farmers, and also the food security of many nations. So in this light, it's very important to point out that we have a very important subject to discuss. As people think about the Belt and Road, they think this is the Belt and Road is only railways, ports, airports, the highways, water dams, and so on. But the Belt and Road is more than that, as we have explained also in other situations. But for example, the basic document for the Belt and Road Initiative, which is called Vision and Actions on Jointly Building the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, which was issued by the National Reform and Development Commission of China in March 2015, it says, among other things, we should expand mutual investment areas, deepen cooperation in agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, and fisheries, agriculture machinery manufacturing, and farm produce processing, and promote cooperation in marine product farming, deep sea fishing, aquatic product processing, seawater desalination, marine biopharma, ocean engineering technology, environmental protection industries, marine tourism, and other fields. That's a very long list of issues, all related to the question of food production, agriculture, and food security on a global scale. Today, we will discuss the role of agricultural cooperation and development within the Belt and Road Initiative itself, but also its role in alleviating poverty. In 2020, by the end of 2020, China celebrated reaching the first centennial goal of eliminating extreme poverty in China. Our special guest today has been participating with mind, heart, and hands in one of these projects, not only one project, but many projects for poverty alleviation in China and in Africa itself. It is Professor Xu Jin is our guest today. Professor Xu Jin is a professor, a teacher, and expert at the China Agricultural University, but also the China Belt and Road Institute for Agricultural Cooperation. Welcome, Professor Xu.
Hi.
Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. Please first tell our readers, our viewers, about your institute and the work you are doing on agricultural research and also on the poverty alleviation.
Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. And so let me first briefly introduce my university, China Agricultural University. So as you can see from its name, it's a very much focused on agriculture, the university. It's a top university in China in terms of agricultural and rural development, research, and also research and development. Actually, China Agricultural University is very strong in researching crops, also domestic animals, and also seeds and food engineering and those things. And also actually China's Fauci, actually is also from China Agricultural University. He has expertise on animal science. So this is very brief on China Agricultural University, and my institute, the China Institute for Belt and Road Institute for Agricultural Cooperation, actually is based in China Agricultural University. And we are a little bit, we are a little bit more focused on social science perspective, but we are very much comprehensive and covers a lot of cross-cutting issues in terms of global agriculture and agricultural cooperation. Because China has initiated this Belt and Road and also South-South Cooperation Initiative. So we have a very strong focus in terms of agricultural cooperation on this side. And for our institute, we have 4 major pillars. One pillar is on research. We promote international cooperation on research in terms of this field. And second, we promote exchange program, seminars, and also workshops to discuss this specific topic in terms of agriculture and poverty reduction. And third, we also facilitate, we also ourselves are conducting some practices or explorations in terms of communicating China's development experience, especially in terms of agriculture development experience and poverty reduction experience, because poverty reduction and agriculture are very much interrelated issues.
In February 2021, President Xi Jinping announced the victory in the fight against extreme poverty in China, which was accomplished by the end of 2020, as I said earlier. And you participated personally in one of the most fascinating poverty alleviation projects inside China in the Yunnan Province. Can you describe this project for us so people get a sense of how this poverty alleviation works inside China?
Okay, so actually it's very much a national campaign on poverty reduction. It's a nationwide campaign in terms of poverty reduction. Every sector, government sectors, and also enterprises and also individuals are part of this campaign. And my university is also involved in this campaign, in these efforts. So I'm going to present to you a very small case which happened in China's village, a remote village bordering China and Lao PDR. Okay, so actually I have 2 programs which is conducted by China Agricultural University. So I'm going to start with the first program, which is in, you can see in the map, it's in southwestern China, bordering Laos. So it's here. It's very far from our capital, Beijing. It's 2,700 kilometers away from Beijing. And this is here is a very small village, only have 57 households, more than 200 people living there. And those people are from the Yao ethnic minority. And this people is very unique in current China, in today's China, because most of its people are staying in the village. We can see that because this village is very far from the economic center, from those cities, big cities, and those people are minority people, so they're lacking skills, and their language skill is also not that good. So it's very hard for them to get integrated into the city life, into the modern life. So that's also one reason, part of the reason that they are being stuck in poverty. So
they are also isolated physically. There are no roads, or there were no roads leading there before, and so on. Yes,
also infrastructure also restricted their connectivity to the outside world. And when we went there in 2015, their income level was very low. Okay, wait. So this is before, 7 years ago. We can see this is how this village looked at that time. So it's all soil, mud. The house is very in very poor condition. We can see that it usually it has 1 story or 2 stories. If it has 2 stories, then the first story they are keeping domestic animals like pigs, and they are living
inside the
on
same
the 2nd
house.
floor. Yes, in the same house. So the health conditions are also not very good there. So that was before. And so here is how it looks today. So it's complete difference, right?
Yeah.
And most
Even
of
it's
the
greener now than before. This is a rainforest tropical area, isn't it?
yeah, right. It's in its back, it's a rainforest area. So it has very good climate environment. But before, because of the infrastructure, the conditions are very, very bad. So that restricted their actions, their movement. But now it looks much better, right? And they all have electricities and good house. So we just look at it, why these people are trapped in poverty. So when we first enter this village, we can see that everybody was equally poor there because they are very much, their income very much relying, dependent on agriculture. They go into the rainforest, they pick up some, they grow sugarcane and they grow some fructus ammoni, those like herbs. They sell those things, but actually their livelihoods are very much impacted by the environment. Once there is not enough water or too much rain, their harvest get impacted. And also this area is haunted by the famous elephants, the Asian elephants. Those elephants are roaming around this area. So the elephants like bananas, they like sugar canes.
Oh.
So these elephants are usually,
Yeah.
getting a bad impact on people there. At the same time, we can see if we look at their expenditures, we can see that it's very rigid because they have to pay the hospital fees, they have to pay the education fees for their kids, and they also have to buy food because they grow some rice, but you have to buy other things. So the expenditure level is high there. It may not be high if you compare to people living in cities, but there it constitutes a very large proportion of those people's income. Actually, when we investigate people's income there, we can see that their expenditures are usually higher than their income. So people are very much trapped in debt. They borrow from their relatives, they borrow from their friends. It's very hard for them to get out of the poverty trap if there is no, outsider support. So that's a general situation 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And then we started this poverty reduction program in 2015. And we can see that here is a major principles of this program. First is the program is very much supported by government because in China, we have this huge nationwide poverty reduction campaign. And so there is a very strong support, especially government's financial support for poor villages. So this village is a poor village. So it can receive the government transfer payments and can receive government project-based support. So this is very much important, and also government played a very important role in, putting in place all the infrastructures, the roads linking the village to the outside world, and also the roads inside the village. And in terms of the house, the government also have a lot of subsidies, provide subsidies for people, for villagers in the village to renovate their housing. And second important thing is that a lot of actors are engaged in this program. This is our team leader, Professor Li, who is also from China Agricultural University, and he is also the founder of a NGO of an NGO Action Against Poverty. So he led this NGO to provide many support for this village's poverty reduction program. He designed all the program on how to lift the village out of poverty.
So the process is, if I can may ask, is that Professor Lee and also yourself, you go there and you live there with the villagers. You don't only go there like every now and then to see what is going on, but you actually participate in all the work which is going on.
Oh, I cannot say me, but Professor Lee was actually there for 7 years, okay. Especially in the first 2 to 3 years. He was almost always there, living with the villagers and helping them to design the whole program. And the third principle is that the poor villagers themselves are playing a very important role in renovating their houses and in working together to rebuild their villages and to participate in the whole program. Okay, so one key element of this poverty reduction program is to establish a new industry. So actually, this new industry is dependent on the villagers' house, their new house. Actually, the government helped villagers to rebuild, to renovate their houses, but we are thinking in our design, we should make the house become one source of the village's income. So that's why we support the villagers to build one guest room in each household's own home, so that this room.
Okay, so the house itself becomes a source of income.
Yes, right.
But you didn't change, or did you change the architecture? Or did you keep the same architectural features and materials used in this village, or you changed it completely?
Because the village, they are inhabited by this Yao ethnic minority people. These people, they used to live in wooden house. So that's why we persuade them to rebuild their house with wood. But actually, at first, they don't want to build their house with wood. They want to, live in brick houses. Okay. Like the city people. So it's very hard to persuade them. But we think this is very important, because only wooden house, only the house with the ethnic features can attract outsiders, can attract tourists. So it's very important. We think, and we also think to keep their to keep these ethnic features, it's very important to to keep this culture, to carry on this culture, this local ethnic culture is very important. So we helped one villager to rebuild their house with wood, and then after that, other people can see, oh, wooden house can be so beautiful. So actually, and also it starts to generate income. So other villages starts to follow this action, and each villagers, they build their house by their own. So each house is different in this village, but the style is similar. They are applying this traditional ethnic minorities features in that house. And okay, so this is a new house. This generates income, much higher income for the village.
This is high class feature.
Oh, and yes, actually, after some 5-6 years, each household, they have a built-in guest room in their house, and this village also received many outsiders, many visitors, and some visitors are thinking they should have a high-end room, high-end houses in the village. So we started to upgrade some guest rooms in the village with support, with financial support from some philanthropists. So this is how this upgraded new guest room look like.
Beautiful.
Yes, and we also put this guest room on the online. So actually you can book it in Airbnb. I don't know if people have noticed it, but it's there. This is also, and we try to, build very modern and very clean, kitchens and bathrooms in each villager's house. This is very important for them to, get into the modernization process.
This requires, of course, a lot of infrastructure in terms of electricity, clean water, sewage system.
Yes,
they're
right.
also built simultaneously.
Yeah, that's also part of the national poverty reduction programs. So it's getting financial support. And actually, for each guest room, the NGO helped raise funds from the society for each guest room. And for the kitchen, we also raised funds from other NGOs, other funds. So this is on the right. We can see that the village, we are holding a China ASEAN program, a seminar in the village. So those are villagers. They are welcoming their friends, participants from the ASEAN countries. Okay, so there are places where you can have conferences and events inside the village. That's fascinating. Yeah, because we also help them build this conference room, conference facilities in the village. So this is a conference room, and this is inside. And we have all these facilities there. So this meeting room, this conference room can also generate income for the whole village. It's very important. This is a Belt and Road Village Revitalization Forum held in 2018. We are receiving scholars from Europe and also from ASEAN countries and South Asian countries also. We are having speakers from India, I remember. And this is a bar. It's very popular among the international visitors. And okay, this is this. So the thing is also one of the attractions is that this beautiful nature, clean air, and also that they meet people from a certain ethnic background, which is different than These are very important. The rainforest is there, and also the climate, the air, the water there is very good. And also they have these ethnic groups there. It has a very unique culture there. So these are attracting the visitors. And we also helped some villagers to establish restaurants in the village. In total, we have 6 restaurants in the village. So these restaurants can generate additional income for the villagers there. Because when we have an international meeting, people have to eat. So these restaurants can make money from that. And the food is both produced in the village, around the village, but also because there's infrastructure now, it couldn't be imported from other parts of the country if there are certain types of. Yes, right. They are using what they grow there, and they are also using what they can buy in the market, because now they have transportation to the outside. And another very important element in this program is we try to break the intergenerational transmission of poverty. So we put in place a preschool, a kindergarten there. We call it a kids activity center, because in the village they have like 20 or more than a dozen kids, preschool kids in the village. So we think it's very important to put these kids together, to have some volunteers to teach them language, to teach them some knowledge there, and to teach them how to keep their habits. They have to brush their teeth twice a day. So this is very important. And the language skills, is it Chinese, or do they have to learn some foreign, because there might be foreign tourists too? Yes, right. Because our university have some, a lot of students. So every summer and every winter vacation, we are sending our students there to teach the kids English and also Mandarin, the Chinese language. So these kids are very happy there. And now they are speaking very standard Mandarin language, better than their parents. And also they are speaking a little bit English. And this program is very unique because it also has the, women empowerment elements in it. Because, guest room has to be maintained, service has to be provided. So the main service provider is women in the village. So this has empowered women a lot in this village. So we can see that these are the women in their ethnic dress. They are learning how to iron clothes, and because they have earned some money from their their labor, their housework. So now they can enjoy. They are enjoying a tournament outside the village. On the back, it is a village's head. He is leading all the women's outside. And also another very important thing is that we have to put in place the capacities of the villages. So otherwise, if we leave, they cannot continue.
Yeah, that was one question in my mind. How do you sustain such a big operation relative to the skills of the people? Because as you say, as soon as you leave or there's no outside support, how will it be sustained?
Yes, right. This is very important. So we have to, to nurture the villagers, their own capacities, to maintain all this, not only maintain this new industry, but also maintain the village's development. One good thing of this village is that it has people staying in the village, not like other villages. In many parts, many villages in China, there are only elder people and only young children. You cannot see young people in the village. But this village, it has a very good thing. It has young people there.
The grown-up men or women, they have to travel to the cities to work, you mean?
Yes, usually young people and women, they have to travel to cities to work. But that's not the case in this village because this village is very remote. And those people are a little bit marginalized from the mainstream, city life. So a lot of people, they are staying in the village. They only have some very short part-time job around the city, around the village, in other villages. Sometimes they will do some part-time job outside the village, but most of the time they are in the village. So that's also the merit of this program. They can just stay at home and make money. So these are the young people in the village. We try to, train them, provide capacity development programs for them, so they can know how to, how to receive the guests and how to do the financial works for this villages cooperatives,
and manage the payments and so on.
How to manage, all these kind of things. And they are having a meeting, and they are also one unique feature of this, we call it a village cooperative, is that this village cooperative is also help, getting people together to do some, collective work for the village. And also they provide some kind of public service for this village. They treat the sewage, they do the garbage, and they also do some construction work for the village. And they have to maintain the gardens in the village. So this work are carried out, are led by this cooperative, young people in this cooperative. This is very important. And okay, this is a trend of the village, the change of the village's income. We can see that from 2016 to 2021, the income growth. And actually in 2019, it's kind of stuck there. That's also I have to explain because of the pandemic, there has been these restrictions on traveling. So it has a huge impact on this new industry in the village. And many people are, getting back to, agriculture income sources. They have to grow rice again. Some people stopped to grow rice when we introduced this new industry, but now they have to, convert back to their agriculture livelihoods. And here is this shows you the income structure change. Actually, the green one, we can see that this is majorly come from the new industry, the guest rooms. We can see that in 2019, almost half of the income are from this new industry. So actually we predicted that in 2020, 2021, this new industry would become a pillar industry for this village, and their income would grow, continue to grow. But now, because of the pandemic, we can see that this new industry, the proportion of the new industry getting shrinked.
There is a fascinating aspect in this whole project, because which is related to the Belt and Road Initiative, the big Belt and Road Initiative, which is, you mentioned the question that this is on the border with Laos. And by looking at the map, what you find is that this isolated rainforest village, which is in a corner, a landlocked corner of China, has suddenly become a major, not the village itself, but the region, I think it's called Xishuanbanna Prefecture, that because of the China-Laos high-speed railway and the corridor, it goes right through this area, turning it into a bridge rather than a landlocked area. And this is very, very interesting, because what we have here is that this is one of the big corridors of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is the Indochina corridor, which connects to Laos, Thailand, Myanmar. We have Vietnam, and going down further into Southeast Asia. This is a very interesting aspect of the whole Belt and Road. Do you have any thoughts on this? Were there any transformations taking place because of the opening up of this corridor from China to Laos?
Yes, I think this is very exciting news because of the China-Laos railway. Now it's getting through. Actually, now I've heard that it only takes 4 hours going from Vientiane to the Xishuanbanna to China. So it's very, so it takes people much closer to each other. Actually, I have been to the Xishuanbanna in Laos, the French colonized city in Laos. Actually, people told me that if I go through the China-Laos border immigration points, it takes me more than 8 hours to go there. But now Vientiane is more far away than Xishuanbanna, so it only takes us 4 hours to go through. So it's huge progress there. And actually, this also, I heard that a couple of days ago, there are trains bringing durians from Thailand to China. It also facilitated the trade and also the goods. And also another important thing is that people can be brought closer to each other. And actually in the Hebian village, we have some international marriage. There are some wives from Laos, actually. I think in the future, there's going to be more international marriage happening on the ground. So this is a good thing. It facilitates, international, intercultural communications.
Sure. That's one of the 5 principles of the Belt and Road, which is people-to-people connection. That's this, you open up cultural, social, and other ties among nations. It's a very, very fascinating story. We had a special podcast on the China-Laos corridor and its importance for the whole region. A while ago, we have it in our podcast series. So that's interesting. Now, moving to your other project in Africa, in his keynote address to the 2021 summit on the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, the FOCAC, President Xi Jinping presented a 10-point program for cooperation between China and Africa. Now, one of the number one, of course, was the fight against the COVID-19, which is a priority for China right now. But then he said, number two, and I quote, he said, second, the poverty reduction and agricultural development program. China will undertake 10 poverty reduction and agricultural projects for Africa and will send 500 agricultural experts to Africa. China will set up a number of China-Africa joint centers for modern agro-technology exchange, demonstration and training in China, encourage Chinese institutions and companies to build in Africa demonstration villages for China-Africa cooperation on agricultural development and poverty reduction, and support the alliance of Chinese companies in Africa for corporate social responsibilities in launching the initiative of 100 companies in 1,000 villages, end of quote. Now, your university has been already involved in this, and I think, I guess you will have a role also in this, but that this combination of agricultural development, agricultural cooperation, and poverty alleviation. Now, you have given us an example of how these two things work in symbiosis, but can you tell us about your programs in Africa?
So the second case is a poverty reduction program between China and Tanzania. This program is conducted in the agricultural corridor in Tanzania, in the Morogoro region. So in this region, a lot of villagers, they are growing maize or corn. Okay, but their productivity, the yield level is very low. So I just skip to the next page. Next slide. The maize, we can see the yield is very low in Tanzania, only 1/5, 1/4 of that of China, according to FAO statistics. So this is due to a lot of reasons. And one particular reason is that China and Tanzania are applying, different technologies, growing technologies. The strategies are very different. And going to next slide. And this is our technology package. So we can see that using this package, we have to increase the labor input. We have this standardized 6-step process from land preparation to seeds growing, and also you have to keep the density. We can see that density is higher of our package than the Tanzania traditional package. We are 40 centimeters by 50 centimeters, and their traditional way is doing it 60 centimeter by 60 centimeter.
That's, they use more land for little production, if we translate that.
Yes, that's very, ours is very intensive, growing strategy. Because that's also due to different circumstances, because China has a lot of big population and have limited land areas comparing to our population. So that's why we are adopting this, high density growing strategy from the old days. And also we are doing the thinning. We only put one little seed in one hole. We have to remove all the other seeds, the small plants in one hole. But in Tanzania, they are just leaving all the 5-6 plants in one hole. So that will have an impact on the plants. The plants will not grow very well for each one. And also fertilizer, they don't use fertilizer. And now we are adding a little bit more fertilizer for this, for maize. And also for weeding, we do at least 3 times of weeding. But in Tanzania, they don't like weeding.
You mean removing the weeds around the plants?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, removing the weeds.
That's a lot of work, of course.
That's a lot of work because the weeds will absorb the nutrients, nutritious ingredients for the crops, for the maize. So we have to do it. So we can see that this is a lot of extra labor input for this job, but the result is very good. Okay, next slide. Before the villagers in Tanzania, they can only harvest like 7 to 8 bags for 1 acre, but now some households, some farmers can harvest more than 20 bags for 1 acre. So that's a big increase, almost
that's a
double.
threefold increase, isn't it?
Yeah. Double, then threefold. But that have to increase their labor input, a lot of hard working, but their income level increased a little bit. And some farmers, they can afford their children's educational fees. So it's good news. They think this extra labor put is very worthy. So this picture shows you how they are using our technologies to do the spacing, very standardized. Use a string, use a rope to distance the seeds.
That's a simple technology, as you say. This is not using GPS and satellite positioning systems or anything. This is just simple techniques, but these were unknown.
Yes, this is very simple technology, and also it because of the limits of the irrigation system in Tanzania, because they don't have the irrigation. So what we can do is only to increase a little bit labor input there. So, and also they don't have the machineries. We are trying to provide some machineries to them, but it's very hard if we expand the program to more villages, to more regions. Okay, next slide. This is our professor. The team leader is showing the farmers.
He's always on the ground. He's not sitting in an office or something, giving orders.
Yes, he likes to walk on the ground. They say, as our, Chinese people used to say, a professor, they should write a thesis on the ground.
That's a good way.
Yeah, this is a very important. Okay, this is for weeding, removing the weeds. Next slides. Yeah, this is
weeding.
Yes, weeding activities. Okay, next. Okay, improved seeds, and actually we transferred money, program money, to the Morogoro regional government, and they bought the seeds, improved seeds, and then they hand out the seeds to the villagers, the demonstration farmers. They are very happy to receive this kind of improved seeds. And then next slide. This is also one element of this program. Okay, this is an increase of the yield. And then next slide. This is in now our program has before in 2011 we only have 1 demonstration village, Pea village, and now we have 10 villages conducting demonstrations, and more than 1,000 households are involved in its demonstration programs. So this shows you the map. And also, this is also an international program. Actually, the first phase program is sponsored by the one organization in China, the International Poverty Reduction Center in China. It facilitated to establish a demonstration village, the Pea village in Tanzania. And then the second phase the Ministry of Science and Technology came in. They provide some budgetary support. Then that facilitate us to work with Tanzania's Sokoine University of Agriculture. Then we establish a joint research center in the Sokoine University for agriculture in Tanzania to help, to expand the programs to more villages. And now we come into the third phase, the new phase. And the Gates Foundation also provides some support for this new phase to expand the program into 10 villages and more than 1,000 households. So it's an international program. And also I just said one element of the program is the technology part. And because labor intensive technology is also a core experience of China's agricultural development. And the second important element of this program is to facilitate the government's role in supporting agricultural development. That's also very important in the days when we have the travel restrictions in the pandemic, because we cannot go there. Before, we usually go to Tanzania, go to the field many times a year to talk to the farmers and to organize different kinds of meetings and on-site trainings. And this shows you in the beginning of 2021, we have this Best Agriculture Extension Officers campaign. Then they have 10 best extension officers, and each officer get an award of one motorcycle, a new motorcycle that's supported by the program. So they are very excited to receive this kind of very expensive
so they
award.
can become more mobile.
Yes, more mobile. This is very important. So the second very important element is the role of government, because in China, government is playing a very critical, very important role, in providing trainings, providing skills for the farmers, and also linking the market with the research institutions, including universities, and then with the farmers, individual farmers. This is very important role of government. And we are trying to replicate the role of the government in Tanzania. So it's very difficult, but we are trying to do it. So we trained the regional government, some officers, especially agricultural extension officers in this region, for these 10 villages. And then those people, they come back to Tanzania. They start to design.
You train them in China, you see?
Yeah, we train them in China, actually. Then they go back, and we also train them on the field, because before we can go there. So now they are, designing their program implementation. They are going to the fields to train the farmers. They are doing all these things by themselves. So this kind of, increase the government's role in providing support for agricultural development.
Yeah,
this is very important experiences of China.
Exactly. Now there is, of course, now going from the simple methods and with the Belt and Road opening up new areas, as we saw with the Chinese village, that you will have more modern infrastructure, more capabilities, maybe even machinery. There is, you mentioned earlier this question of the poverty trap. Yes. That people in that Chinese village were trapped in poverty. But we have seen that for like many decades, the World Bank, IMF, the European Union, the United States, there are massive aid programs to help people especially in Africa. But that did not enable those people to self-sustain the productivity. So as you mentioned that you not only provide the basics, the infrastructure, but you also teach the skills, you increase the capacity of the people themselves to sustain their growth in their own community. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Okay, because poverty trap actually is very complicated phenomenon, because I just explained that in the Hebian villages case, because their expenditure is much higher than their income. Let me use one metaphor. It's like for one person, it's one leg is on one side of the door, but it's another leg is on the other side. The door is, I think it's modernization, because their expenditure, their expenditure is kind of modernized. They have to pay the education, pay hospital, pay all the food. That's in a more capitalized world. But
and they have to borrow money to do that?
Yes, because their income level is still very much in a traditional world. That's not a modern world. So here is a gap for the villages. So they are kind of trapped in that gap. So we have to, provide them enough support for them to, get over this threshold to a new standard, so they can get out of poverty completely. Otherwise, it's very easy for them to, fall back to poverty trap. It's very easy. Yeah. So we have to have this kind of modernization process going on. And we have to have all this kind of structural change, the different sectors of the economy. We have to facilitate this kind of transformation, so those people can be, can go into the modern world. Right. Then the poverty can disappear.
And these experiments are not happening in as isolated microcosms. They are happening in a macrocosm, which is changing, like China's economic evolving and development. Yes. We have the Belt and Road Initiative also evolving and integrating these villages and these smaller communities into the larger macrocosm, so to speak. But this is where the importance of infrastructure comes in. As part of the Belt and Road Initiative. I mean, in 2015, President Xi Jinping made a speech also at the China-Africa Cooperation Forum, where he said there are three bottlenecks of development from our experience in China. Number one is the lack of capital. Number two is the lack of infrastructure. And number three is the lack of skilled labor. And he said, if we can overcome these obstacles in Africa, Africa can also prosper the same way China prospered. But through your work, what of these three bottlenecks is the most important? Is it the infrastructure, the capital, or the skilled labor, or all of them?
Yeah, all of them are very important for economic takeoff. Those things are very important. It's hard to say which comes first, which have a priority, because I can tell one example in the Tanzania village, because in 2011, in the first village, we helped them build a village center. So in this center, it's kind of like a meeting room. Then we put the tables, the chairs, new tables, new chairs. Actually, we bought them from China and we transported them there. And nowadays, 10 years passed. When we went back there, we can see that those tables, those chairs becoming very old. But actually, these kind of things cannot happen in China because we have this global value chain. China also has a very strong manufacturing sector. We can easily get access to those kind of things. We can have new things. We can buy them, or we can borrow money to buy them. But in Africa, it's very hard. Their value chain is very incomplete, and their industrial structure is very much distorted. They grow a lot of cash crops because of their colonial history. So their economic structure is very imbalanced. And also many countries are pursuing a very much industrialization strategy to try to increase their whole GDP level, their productivity level. But actually, we have to say, in China's case, our development stage is very much connected. One stage is connected to another stage. For example, our agriculture sector's modernization have tried to, provide surplus food for people and provide surplus labor. So this surplus labor, they come into the industry sector, come into manufacturing sector. So a lot of people, they are coming to cities, they get jobs. So this increase their income level. A lot of people are getting out of poverty through this kind of moving urbanization process. So, but now in many African cities, they are making money from mining, from the industry sector, but that sector is very much limited. They don't enable many poor people to get a job, to increase their income, and their agriculture sector is still very much lagging behind. So these, different sectors, they don't have this connectivities, they don't have these associations to enable the spill-offs of economic growth to help the poor people. So that's a big problem for many African countries.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a very, very good, informative and learning process, and also fascinating because of the stories you have told us, which you yourself lived through. You had hands-on experience in that, and you saw the development from before and after, yes, how the life of those people has changed. And I think this is very, very important lesson that we can learn even here in Europe or the United States when we want to deal with these questions of poverty, of alleviating people's living standards, and so on, that this is a very important lesson to learn and maybe cooperate with China. And I think the Belt and Road Initiative is a very good platform yes, for this, which can get all nations to work together, because it's not ideological, it's not geopolitical, it's not a zero-sum game, it's for a win-win cooperation. Now, in the finally, I mean, given the situation in the world that we have a food crisis going on and many other crises, but the food crisis is becoming acute right now. What is your view and your institute that how does the Belt and Road Initiative play a role in giving us a certain level of relevant level of food security for nations in the world?
Food security, actually, in this today's world, is very much politicalized. It's a severe challenge for the whole world. I think because the food security is a very important global public good, it has to be provided, especially to be provided for the poor people, for the vulnerable people. And actually, today, what we grow on Earth actually can feed all population on the Earth, but still many people are starving. So actually, this is a structural problem, and it's a very politicalized problem. It's not a problem. We cannot grow enough food. We can, but we can. It's about the distribution, about the allocation. We cannot allocate those food for the people who really need it. So I think in the future, this Belt and Road Initiative, it has to facilitate more regional cooperation and also international cooperation. In China's sense, we have to rely more on the international organization, especially the UN's multilateral institutions, to help, to provide a more equal amount of global public good to those people who are in real need. And this is very important. We have to put politics, away.
Right. Thank you very much, Professor Xu Jin. This has been a very fascinating journey from poverty to prosperity, but we have still a long way to go for many countries in the world. And I thank you very much for taking the time to tell us about the lessons you have learned, the techniques you have learned. And I hope to see you in future events.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much.